Hi, I'm Miss Clare from the Atlantic County Library in Hammonton, and today we're going to be doing a couple of ornament crafts. The one can be done by children as low as 5 with supervision, and the other one all the way up to grandma if she wants to try it. So for the first one, you're going to need green yarn, red yarn, something circular about the size of 2 to 2.5 inches, like a jar lid. This is actually a piece off my sewing machine. And you need a heavy piece of cardboard about 6 inches, and you need poster board and either really tiny pom-poms or red felt. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to trace on poster board, and if you don't have any, you can use the cardboard from a cereal box. You're going to trace circles, and you're going to get it like that. The hole in the middle I did with a hole punch because you have to cut the middle out. So if you have a hole punch, punch a hole in the center. You use the scissors to cut out the hole, or if you have an X-Acto knife, you can use that. And you get this. So the next step after you do that is you're going to wrap the yarn around the big piece of heavy cardboard about 50 times. You're not going to pull it tight because it stretches the yarn and then the pieces come out too short. And then you're going to cut it off from the top. And you're going to cut it off, cut the bottom in half too. And what that does is it gives you a multitude of green pieces that are about 6 inches long. Then you're going to take a piece of yarn and your circle. You're going to fold the yarn in half so that there's a loop. You're going to put the loop through the center hole, and then you're going to feed the yarn into it like that. You're going to do that all the way around. And if you want it to be fancier, like I don't like sparkly yarn, so I never use it, but you can buy yarn that has some sparkle to it, and then your wreath ornament turns out a little more sparkly. So after you do that, it can take anywhere between 32 and 45 pieces of yarn. You're going to get a circle that's not, this is what it looks like after we trim it, but you're going to get a circle of yarn. And then you're going to take your scissors and in small increments, you're going to trim it until it's all the way around even. Then after that, here's like one that's a little raggedy. And then see what happens when it's a little too long. The yarn doesn't lay right. So then when you're done that, you have two options. You take a piece of red yarn first. And it can be however long you need it to be. For me, because I'm not the best at manipulating bows, it needs to be a little longer. And you make a bow. And then you glue it to the bottom of the wreath, like this one. Now I think this is a little too long, so I'm just going to trim off the edges. You can use craft glue. Hot glue is a little bit better because it dries faster. And yarn can be really tricky using craft glue on. So then you can take the pom-poms and you can put them around your wreath to look like berries. And then you take a piece of, either a piece of yarn like this one or a piece of ribbon like this one, and you use it to make the hanger. And you put it on the same way. And then once you have it on, you tie a knot in the top, trim off the extra, and you're done. So our next craft is a Victorian lace craft for the tree. And before we start showing you how to do it, I want to show you something else. So lace is lace, but it comes soft. It comes kind of stiff. You want to make sure you use the soft lace because the stiff lace will not gather properly. So what you do is you take some soft lace, you cut it into 18-inch pieces. And then the first thing you do is you fold it in half and then you stitch across this end. You can do it by hand if you're only making a few. If you're making a lot, the most of these I ever made at one time was 150. They were for my wedding. And so I did them on the sewing machine. So once you get that, and you sew it shut, you end up with a loop. And you take your needle with a long thread on it, and you gather it. And you don't have to use small stitches, you can use as big as you want, because it's not really important as long as you get a continuous thread all the way around the loop. And I use a fairly large needle to do this just because it makes it easier and I don't stab myself as often. You don't want to snag the end of the thread while you're still doing this. Okay, so once you get to the end, you grab the end at the very end and you grab the front and you pull them both at the same time as tight as you can, so you end up with this thing that kind of looks like that. And then you knot it. Okay. And you trim it. And then you play with it a little to get it to flatten out so that it looks like that. And you can do two sizes of these. You can do a single layer. This is a double layer. The narrower your ribbon is, you probably only want to do a single layer. The next thing you do is, after you have them all assembled the way you want it, you take your miniature silk flowers. Now, you can use, this size can sometimes be hard to find in poinsettias, so you can also use miniature roses. You can also use old buttons that are kind of sparkly. And you can also, if you have some costume earrings that are not too big, that you don't wear anymore, you can use them too. So the next step is, if you're doing a double, which I don't have another one, you sandwich in between the two a ribbon or a cord, and then you hot glue the two layers together, like that. And then you put the poinsettia or whatever flower you're using in the center, and you hot glue that on too. You put just a little tiny bit just to hold it. And then you take your scissors and you cut off the plastic. And that's how this one was made. That was just a piece of holly and a poinsettia stuck through it. Now, if the bigger ones, you can add pearls to. And all you do for that is you just loop the pearls. There's the top loop. And you lay it on the disc, and then you glue it all together when you put the flower on. You can use lace as narrow as 1 inch and as big as about 3.5 inches. You don't want to go any bigger than 3.5 inches, because the wider the lace, because it's soft, it doesn't stay standing out like this one does. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Have fun. And if anybody would like the directions for these, email us at Hammonton and we will be happy to email them to you.